Michael Pawlian, President of Integrated Design Systems Incorporated, also known as IDS, is located in Oyster Bay, New York.
Thanks for attending. I wrote a paper not too long ago for Plastics Technology on this very subject, the top 10 design considerations for designing injection molded parts. So I'm going to try to, it's a lot of ground to cover, I'm going to try to cover it in a half an hour, so we'll keep it brief and quick. So the top 10 considerations are basically material options, material selections of critical parts, especially for medical products, and deciding on materials at the early stage of design is a critical design decision that should be made with typically advice from resin suppliers or people that are really knowledgeable of plastics polymers, since there are so many hundreds of thousands of materials to select from. Another key consideration are critical tolerances, and this is something that's very difficult to determine and is often overestimated when you're designing a product. All too often you'll design something and the tolerances are much too tight for maintaining on a continual production basis, so it's a critical design decision. Sink marks, an inherent property of injection molding and plastics because of the poor thermal conductivity, and we'll discuss that as well. Designing parts so that with an understanding of tool design, and this term steel safe means designing a part, especially with critical tolerances, sometimes with a looser fit so that adjustments have to be made in the tool instead of welding the mold to add material and then machine it. You basically leave extra steel in the tool. The part is basically shorter or smaller than it should be, and then going back and modifying it later after you get first samples. Gate location, another major decision that not only affects the structural integrity of the part, but also its appearance and fit as well. Shutoff angles, it's a term that's used to define the geometry of a part where you have steel past the core and cavity of the mold passing each other, and you don't want to have the features in those areas too steep or with a limited amount of draft, where you end up getting balling of the parts and eventual flash and a lot of tool maintenance. Draft angle orientation. What I mean by that is sometimes you have the option of adding draft to a part so that it's pulled from the core. Other times you have the option of pulling it from the cavity, and this could affect not only the part appearance, but also, more importantly, tool cost, and we'll talk about that as well. Then there's texturing and draft, because if you apply texture to a part, you're introducing undercuts in the surface, which will affect the draft angle. We'll touch upon that as well. And another thing that designers should also consider is the scheduling of critical startup phases and coordinating the project so that as the supply chain is converging during production, you don't end up with an overabundance of parts that have to be rejected because of poor planning. And then, of course, there are secondary operations and fixturing, which is often overlooked, and it should never be thought of as a last thought in the overall design process. Now, all these things, all these parameters, which I could really talk about for an entire day and not even scratch the surface, so you're just getting a very brief overview, can be optimized by, I believe, very strong. I've designed plastic injection molded parts for probably close to 40 years now. I know I look a lot younger than that. In any case, I believe in strong partnerships with the vendors that you're dealing with. Your vendor should be a partner, and they should trust you and vice versa. If you have that kind of a bond, then you're assured pretty much success. If you have an adversarial condition where you're pushing somebody to do something that they're not comfortable with, that's where you end up with a disaster. And when I was younger, I was a little more aggressive, and I had that kind of attitude, and it didn't do me much good. So I've learned over the years to really form a tight bond of friendship with the molders and tool makers.